Hi, I'm Sean Lancaster.
And I'm Rebecca Lancaster.
We're a couple of over 40 amateur hybrid athletes trying to optimize our fitness and maximize our health.
In this podcast, we share conversations about how we're elevating our strength, endurance, and nutrition to do our best to hold off Father Time and live our best lives.
Join us as we try to integrate family, faith, and work with our training. This is That Hybrid Life, the podcast.
In this episode, we talk about body composition, and we share some insights from our body Recomp project. Thanks for listening.
That Hybrid Life, the podcast, is brought to you by Lancaster Advanced Nutrition, performance supplements specifically formulated for hybrid athletes with a focus on recovery. If you're looking to train hard and recover harder, head over to lansups.com. Use code LAN15, LAN15, for 15% off your first order. Now on with the podcast. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The information presented is not to be interpreted as medical advice.
Okay, and we're back. And that was probably the longest hiatus after 3 episodes known to man.
Yeah, about that.
We actually have had a couple people reach out. I know I love it when people go, people are always asking. No, it wasn't a ton of people, but we had a couple people reach out and say, hey, are you going to do another? So want to say thanks for hanging in. Thanks for waiting. There's really nothing exciting to tell other than life happens. And sometimes it snowballs.
Yeah. So I'll take a stab at explaining. When we actually tried to record episode 4, and we had some technical difficulties. We're new at this, and we're trying to produce this podcast, number one, in our spare time, and number two, with equipment that we already had. So we're not exactly set up in a professional podcast studio. And what happened was we got about halfway through the episode, and our video completely bailed on us. I'm sorry, not video. Our video continued, but our audio bailed on us. And we lost like half the audio for the episode. And then I got frustrated and broke a bunch of stuff. And
Stop. No, you didn't. No, we recorded the episode and you went to edit it and found out we didn't have any audio. So then we had to determine, was it a camera issue? Was it an audio issue? How do we fix it? Did we need new stuff? And in the midst of all of that, speaking of this trying to be in our spare time, you have to research, and that takes time, and it takes
and 1 week turned into 2, and then you're in that situation where it's like, okay, do we keep going with the same setup, or do we actually make a change to try to make the production of it a little more doable? And we chose to do that, which is, as you can tell, we're not uploading a corresponding video with conversation. This now is truly an audio podcast. For our YouTube upload, I may and probably will put on maybe some images or something just to give people that if they want to see something visual along with the conversation, they can. But for the most part now, we are back with podcast episode 4. And it is an audio podcast. So I've also been practicing my podcast voice. I'm going to start talking like an NPR host because that seems to play well.
I think
in
it
just
does
the
not.
audio space.
I think it doesn't.
I think it does.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. I've heard it both ways.
Yeah, that's not me. So nonetheless, here we are, episode 4. And where we left off last time, way back months ago now, we had just finished, I think, talking about our first 70.3 races.
Yes, you had finished Texas. You were hating life. We both decided we needed, I wanted to do some weights for aesthetics as well as strength on the bike because I struggle on the bike a little bit. And we felt like we needed to make a change.
Yeah, just a real quick recap. I had a horrible race for my first 70.3 in Texas. A lot of it was due to being undertrained. I didn't understand nutrition. There was just a whole host of things. But what came out of that was probably 30 minutes after I finished, I knew I did not want to do another 70.3 like that. And we had a long drive back. We were in Galveston, Texas. We lived in Northwest Arkansas at the time, and we had a long drive, and we talked about some things on that drive. I don't think we formulated a plan per se, but I think what came out of it was that I at least knew that I needed to just flat out get stronger.
Yeah. So for probably the next 3 years, we would lift weights, but we were still doing cardio, but we were doing weights. We weren't really training for a triathlon. We just decided we were going to get in better shape. We were going to lift weights and and either bike or run or swim or some form of cardio.
We basically joined a gym that was about a block away from our house. It was a good gym, and I'd actually been pretty serious about strength training in college, and so like anybody that goes through that, some things kick in where you're like, you start to identify with that former version of yourself. You're doing fundamental things, compound movements, deadlifts, bench press, just very traditional weightlifting. I certainly felt better. I think we were moving in the right direction.
Oh, I think so. In 2019, we moved to Florida, the Sunshine State. Thank you. In the summer, it is the monsoon state. But anyway, and that's where we are right now. But we moved down, and that actually made working out a little bit easier, except the gym was no longer a block from the house.
We used to run out our door in Fayetteville, but it was so hard.
Every direction was a hill. I mean, there was nowhere you could go.
And half the year, you really struggled, especially Rebecca, you struggled with the cold temperatures.
I don't love the cold.
No. And so, yeah, moving to Florida, did a couple of things. It got us in a warmer climate year round so we could run outside more frequently year round. But it also got us a lot more natural sunlight year round, which has been amazing for you and me both. But yes, we tried to pick up with our strength training. We joined a gym here, but it was across the river and getting across the bridge, yada, yada. The whole round trip was an ordeal. Depending on traffic.
It's like a whole production.
Yeah, I mean, the traffic here, especially when the snowbirds are back, it can be brutal. And so carving out just an hour a day for getting to the gym and back, and then if you're really trying to do something serious in the gym, you're looking at a 2-hour commitment. So that really didn't work well, but we were fairly committed to it. And from something I wanted to talk about in this episode, and I think you do too, is the concept of body composition.
Yes.
Looking back at where I was at Ironman 70.3 Texas, I look at pictures of that race, the few that we have, and man, my body composition was way off of where I wanted to be. It's funny because I was much healthier at that stage in my life than I was, say, the 5 years prior when I was a metabolic mess. But even so, I still had a long way to go. And when we added the strength training, though, after a couple of years, even though I didn't have our nutrition figured out at that point, I do think my body composition was coming around.
Yes.
And yours was too. I mean, you were looking really good.
Putting on some muscle, getting a little muscle tone. I've always had good muscle tone in my legs because I'm a runner.
Mhm.
I love to run. I make the joke, I like to run, but I love to run hills. And so I have that and I like it, but I didn't have any in the upper body. But I was all proud. I did dips and push-ups, and there's just a confidence that comes with being able to lift stuff.
Oh, moving heavy shit. It is, seriously, there is something primal about it that you connect to, and it does. I was talking to someone earlier. I was actually on a podcast earlier today.
Sean's on the circuit.
I'm on the circuit. So yeah, I'm on this podcast earlier, and the host was asking me about the benefits of exercise, and his angle really is more towards connection and community within his industry. It's basically what I told him, and I do endurance for my soul, and I lift weights for confidence.
Yeah. There's just something about it. I walk taller, I walk straighter, I feel better about myself. So even though we were remaking our bodies in that 4 years where we were doing the cardio, we were still working on the endurance, we were also lifting weights and getting stronger and building confidence. And I think that it's that confidence that opened the door to the next phase. It was that curiosity. I'm not a patient person, but I'm not a terribly impatient person. But 4 years in, I was a little pissed. I didn't have like the cut arms and the six.
Yeah, where's that six pack, right?
I was like, look, I'm working really hard here.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing the results. So we're working out and we're doing all that. And you may want to pause because I'm fixing to lead into the ultimate of all ultimates. Why did we stop going to the gym?
Oh.
Are we ready to? Are we that far?
I think we can move.
We're that far. So we're moving through. Life's happening. Same as everybody. Days turn into years.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hang tight.
Okay.
So then the great shutdown in March of 2020. The gym shuts down.
Yeah.
So our gym at our community shut down. Things shut down. So we couldn't go to the gym. So we still were able to go outside and run. Florida's an amazing place. Year round, you can get outside. We were still able to get out, run outside, do our bike indoors if that's what we wanted to, bike outdoors if we wanted to. I don't bike outdoors, so that's never something I'm going to tell you I want to do. But we had moved with a few sets of dumbbells. We didn't have a lot, but we had a few sets. And I discovered this amazing woman, Caroline Gervin. She is a freaking beast.
She is a freak and she is a beast.
She's amazing. And she did a lot of, it's not exactly Tabata, but it was Tabata-like workouts.
Very circuit. Almost hit, maybe not quite hit, but it's she had an interesting workout, and she had videos on her YouTube channel. They're still there. I think she still makes new videos. Definitely recommend her to take a look at her.
So that became our lifting weights and still doing cardio.
Yeah. And we decided to actually build our own home gym.
Yeah. Well, we started watching all kind of YouTube videos. There wasn't a whole lot else to do. So, where are you going to go? So we're watching YouTube videos and learning all about nutrition, because once you start down, YouTube is fun. It's an algorithm. Once you start down that path of watching gym videos and gym bro stuff, it starts feeding things into your inbox or into your, I don't know what you call that, into your feed. And you're like, oh, well, what's this about nootropics? And what's this about this? And so
one of the things that kept coming back to us, or to me, as I was, getting my YouTube PhD.
Right. Dr. Lancaster.
Exactly. Was that, a lot of these YouTube influencers were relying on supplementation. And I'd had a really negative view of supplements and vitamins and that sort of thing up to that point. Just for those of you that don't remember or weren't really involved in that space back in the, say, 2010 to 2020 timeframe, there was actually a big push in media and in conventional medicine even that, supplementation and vitamins were unnecessary.
Right.
It was kind of like
Expensive urine.
Just making expensive urine.
Yes.
And I bought into that. So it was a real paradigm shift for me. And I had to unload some biases. But the reason I did is because these guys that I was listening to and watching on these YouTube videos, they had the body composition I wanted. Mm-hmm. And they were doing the kind of things that I wanted to do. And I guess I had to free up my mind and let myself imagine, what if I just tried it a different way?
Yeah.
And another theme, along with supplementation, and probably even more important, was how much that these folks were focusing on their nutrition.
Yeah. Not just what they're eating. Because we say this like every podcast. We were eating a whole foods diet, a fairly healthy diet. We've been gluten-free for, 20 years because of a celiac. We try to eat whole foods, not processed, whatever. But we hadn't really given I didn't track food. I thought, oh my God, I don't have time for that. I don't have the energy for that. Right? I don't have the time or the energy. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Who actually, tracks everything they put in their body? That seemed ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I don't wear a watch. I didn't wear a watch.
Yeah.
And as of 2020, I'm not sure I owned a watch. If I did, it was in a jewelry box somewhere.
I had an old Timex Ironman watch that...
Well, I wore that for races.
Right. That stayed in a drawer except for races.
It's my race watch.
Yeah.
So there's no way. Everybody's like, I've got my Garmin or I've got my Apple Watch, I think, was on the scene at that point. And I was like, I'm not...
I guess that opened us up to an all new world. And a good thing that came out of that was that we started rethinking our approach to nutrition, and nutrition's role was in body composition. And maybe I should just quickly give like my definition of body composition and what a body recomp project is, because I don't think we've really done that yet. Body composition, the way I see it, is like the ratio of your lean muscle mass to like the rest of your body, or some people might associate it with body fat percentage. You could probably argue that that's a pretty good indicator, but basically body composition is just what your body's made up of: how much lean muscle mass, how much fat, how much water, how much skeletal matter, bones and etc. When you're talking about it in a more qualitative way, it's the look and shape and function that you're trying to achieve with your body to do whatever it is that is your goal.
Yeah.
So for me in triathlon, I would go to races and I would see these guys, elite age groupers and professional triathletes, and their body composition was dramatically different than mine. I looked okay, and not to make it all about aesthetics, but I looked okay in clothes. I did not look great in a tri-suit. It's really hard to look good in a tri-suit.
You gotta be something.
But they did look good in tri-suits because their body fat was so low and because they were so lean and they were optimized for triathlon. Now, let me say, my current goals as an athlete is not to necessarily be optimized for triathlon.
Right.
But at the time, that's kind of what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So, and then just to further finish off that thought, body recomposition, something that I learned about in my YouTube courses.
YouTube doctoral program, yes.
That's actually the process of maintaining or building lean muscle mass while you reduce your body fat, so that you're working towards your optimal body composition.
And quick side note, we joke about the YouTube doctoral program. during this time, we did both get certified as personal trainers, as nutrition coaches, as health coaches, and as strength training coaches. Just as all part of this journey, because we're like, I want to know more. I want to dig deeper into this. And while YouTube does provide really sound information, sometimes you would like to hear it and, and it being an actual, because you have to filter some of it.
The funny thing about YouTube is there's a lot of great info. So we tried to educate ourselves outside of YouTube so that we could evaluate what we were seeing on YouTube and make, a good decision about whether it was something to try or.
Yeah.
Yes, very important to say that.
So again, life happens, and our life is no crazier than anyone else's, but sometimes our decisions are crazier than other people's. And an opportunity came up and they said, hey, what do you think about Arizona? And I was like, I've never been west of Texas. I think that sounds amazing. Yeah. So we move out to Phoenix during this time, and we're like, what are we going to do out here? We didn't even move our stuff. We're like, you know what? Yeah. We'll buy furniture when we get there because...
Yeah, we kept our place in Florida, kept it fully furnished and all that. And by that time, I had actually left my previous career.
You start thinking about, the new year and what your goals are. And around that time, we had decided, okay, what if we trained differently? What if we supplemented differently? So we were already thinking in that direction. And we're like, so over the next year, you're going to redo.
So the driving goal was to eventually complete a full distance Ironman. And so my thinking was that, and I think we probably talked about this a little bit in the previous episodes, but since we recorded those last year, right. Just kidding, but it has been a while. But in case you weren't tuned in for that, I've got a reconstructed knee, and I have traditionally had massive problems with running distance. And I think what occurred to me after that terrible 70.3 in Galveston was that some of that, if not most of it, had to do with me being too heavy for what my reconstructed knee could handle. So I needed to offload some more weight. I wasn't at my heaviest, like in my life when I did Galveston, but man, I was way heavier than I needed to be. Yeah. And so I had this, you can call it a midlife crisis. And so I just felt this need to do an Ironman. And I couldn't even explain it because like before that, I'd pretty much decided I wasn't going to do triathlon anymore, period. Right. But all of a sudden, it feels like if there's anything I need to do before I die, it's do a full distance, freaking 140.6 mile Ironman.
We're not the same. I do not have that desire.
And of course, I can talk at some point about what I think really was driving that. I think there was a spiritual, and I think that was God leading me that direction. But for this conversation, the bottom line is then I had to switch from, okay, here's a goal. Now, what's the strategy? And tactically, how do I make that happen? And I knew body recomp had to be a big part of it. But the big question was, do I jump into training and train myself into the body that I want to haul around for 140 miles? Or do I phase that? And what after researching and looking at the different approaches to body recomp versus Ironman training, what I decided to do was to phase it and basically focus for a year on trying to get my body to the point where I could handle the training.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people go the other way and they think, I'm going to train for a triathlon and I'm going to lose a ton of weight and it's going to be great. But I think what we found in trying to do that over and over again is when you're working, first of all, your body doesn't like to lose weight. It doesn't think that's a great idea. It's like, Historically there have been feasts and there has been famine, so we're just going to keep storing this for the famine. So it doesn't love it.
Your body really likes status quo.
It absolutely does.
But, and I think where you're headed with that is that we felt like you need to focus on those differently. I know there are a lot of people that do lose weight training for triathlon.
Oh, for sure.
So, I mean, it's not that it can't be done, but I'm not sure it's the most effective or efficient way to approach like training for a full distance Ironman, especially.
Yes. And I think you can do one of two things. You can train for weight loss or you can train for performance, but you cannot do both. You just won't have it, because to train for weight loss, you have to be in a calorie deficit. You have to be, and you kind of need to be going slow for the fat burn and you got to keep it at a lower heart rate. I mean, there are all these things that go into it, which I won't get into that. But those were the things we discussed. And when you're training for performance, that's not the aim. That's not the get. It's hard. You have to fuel it.
So I think there are some factors that play into that. One is how far away from your optimum weight or your goal is. The farther you are away, you can train your way into some measurable weight loss for sure. I think it's when you get into that kind of middle area. Yeah. So I think you'll see some people that, I'm just going to throw out some numbers because, and this is totally, a guess on my part, but to make the point, let's say that you're 100 pounds overweight and you start training for a triathlon and doing what you can do, and you're doing the training, and even though you're eating more and maybe you're not tracking what you're eating, maybe the fact that you're working so hard and you're so far away from your optimum, I think your body probably responds a little bit better. Yeah. And so you can shed significant weight to a certain point. But let's say you get down to 50 pounds away from your optimum. Things starts getting harder. Yeah. And so it's kind of in that middle, what I would call middle area, where you're not so much above your optimum that's where I think especially, and it may be a little counterintuitive, maybe, and I'm not saying that breaking it into phases wouldn't be better for somebody that's way away. I think it probably would. But I know that there are anecdotal examples of people I know. One of our clients, he's on a great journey and he's lost a lot of weight, and I think he's doing it through conventional training. But I made the decision to actually prioritize body recomp. Yeah. And I set a goal that I was going to get to this body composition. I didn't just think I'm going to get to this weight, but I wanted to be at this body fat percentage before I actually launched into full Ironman training.
Right. So we start doing that. So you're trying to lose weight. We're researching different diets, macros. What all should we be looking at? What are we not getting in our diet? We turned that little apartment in Scottsdale, Arizona. We were making supplements. We had scales. We had white powder.
So the reason we were experimenting is because we tried some off-the-shelf supplements, and most supplements in the sports space are by bodybuilders for bodybuilders, and we just really weren't finding what we needed. And in fact, some of them made us feel not so great, but so that's why we started experimenting, and we ordered just raw ingredients, trying to find what was essential. Yeah. Kind of a minimalist approach. What is the minimum of whatever that we would need? And that took several months, but we finally, and it was a lot of hard work, and I mean, sometimes it would be 20 or 30 minutes to
Mix up two
mix
drinks.
up 2 drinks for a workout. But
Well, and sometimes it was 20 or 30 minutes to choke it down because some of that
Oh,
stuff,
it's terrible.
some of it did
Yeah.
not mix well. You couldn't flavor over it, and we're like, okay, we're
Yeah.
going to have to find a fix for
we
that.
were trying to figure out easy flavoring. We were buying Kool-Aid packets and all kinds of stuff. But, so, I mean, it was a fun experiment. And where we got to was we found a formulation that we really did notice that was starting to work for us. But all this while, the whole complementary workouts we were doing were geared towards body recomp.
Yes.
And what you need to do for body recomp is you need to teach your body or re-enable your body to burn its own fat for energy. And all at the same time, you need to make sure that you're not catabolizing muscle or losing muscle, because your body will eat muscle if you're in such a deficit. So basically, the secret sauce is, I think we figured it out, is a small caloric deficit on average.
So your body doesn't freak out.
So your body's not going into some kind of crisis mode and starting to shut your metabolism down. And then adding in both low heart rate, fat burning zone kind of activity with strength training.
Yeah.
And the strength training does a couple of things. First, it helps you maintain that muscle mass because it's a use it or lose it kind of thing. But it also helps you maintain your hormones. And hormones are really critical.
Oh, huge. We don't realize it. We don't realize how out of balance they can get, how delicate the balance is, and what all they're used for. So that said, you've got a calorie deficit, but you're also trying to build muscle. So what do you do to support that? And I'm sure, and that's where our supplementation came in.
That's where the nutrition and the supplementation, where we found that nutrition was lacking, because to get the level of protein and micronutrients that you really need to sustain your repair and your immune system, all these physiological functions, is very difficult to do that in whole foods. That's totally against what I used to think, but there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the caloric density of most foods does not really line up well for you to maintain a deficit. In other words, to eat enough protein, you end up eating too much other stuff.
Yeah.
Or to get enough magnesium, you are loading your body up with oxalates from all the greens you're eating. It's just not a good, it's not dense enough. The food, maybe 50 years ago it was. I don't know.
Well, and who has time for that? I got to be honest, if you're having to watch your diet that close, it's hard.
I don't even know who to say here. I'm not the rock with a team, personal chef, and all these people in my life. I mean, good for you if you are, right. But most of us are not in that situation. So we need to be able to get more bang for a buck out of our diet, and that's where supplements come in. And so being able to train, recover in a caloric deficit, I don't think you can do it without supplementation.
Yeah.
I know it never worked for me.
Yeah.
You eventually get broken down, you get into adrenal fatigue, maybe get sick, maybe get injured, all those things. So we're figuring that out.
And the stars are aligning because we've moved out to Arizona with the car, the dogs, and a U-Haul with clothes.
Yeah.
But that was it, one car.
Yeah.
So the lovely apartment in North Scottsdale, which by the way, it really was a good apartment. I'm just teasing. It was the whole meth lab thing. That was our doing, not the neighbors.
Yeah, then it was fine.
It was
good. It was a good place.
But we only had one car.
Yeah. And so, and I think where you're leading is we walked a lot.
We walked a lot. It was fun. I was like, hey, I've never lived in a place where I could walk to the grocery store.
Where we lived was very walkable.
It was so cool. We could walk to Starbucks. We could walk to Safeway.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I had to completely change my my opinion on was walking. I always thought walking was for, old people at the mall.
Right. You get you a sweet tracksuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Park your hover around in the corner and take a couple laps.
But walking is a great, just increasing your steps is a great way to work on training your body to burn fat and then actually burning fat in some of those longer workouts and longer walks. You can turn into a ruck if you like. The thing is, ruck being like walking with a heavy pack, or you can do a farmer's carry like
with groceries.
We used to carry groceries back, 2 bags in each hand, and so it turns into a little bit higher effort. But the main thing is you don't want to push your heart rate to the point where your metabolism, your energy pathway shifts from maximizing fat burning to trying to go look for glucose. And for most people, that's at a fairly low number. It's pretty low. So like if you're getting out of breath, you're probably doing it wrong. It should be something that be breaking a sweat and all that, but optimizing that fat burning zone and learning how to stay there is crucial. Another thing that we really experimented with and kind of figured out pretty well, I think, is intermittent fasting to assist with that. I know that here recently, intermittent fasting has taken some bad press, and I think that's because people get locked into fasting routinely over a long period of time. True intermittent fasting is, it's intermittent and it's kind of random. It's not, okay, well, I'm never going to eat before noon. And I think like from a body recomp, when you're trying to optimize your fat burning, it really works well to occasionally skip breakfast and do a really low intensity workout.
Yeah.
Because that shifts, it accelerates your body into that needing energy. Your body's going to fight back a little bit, but you get in that fat burning mode, and once you start, once you switch over, you can really feel it. And then mentally you're good, all those things. Of course, this is not medical advice, disclaimer. Run everything by your doctor, all that. Yeah. But, so those are some of the things that we were figuring out, it's like, so we started putting together kind of these guidelines. It's like, okay, I'm going to get 10,000 steps a day.
Oh, and we got Garmin's. I said I never wore a watch. And for Christmas in like 21, we both got Garmin's.
That's a good point. We did use some tech. We got wearables, Garmin watches.
Which is cool. I had no idea how much I do not move if I'm not intentional. On days that I didn't run, I'm like, oh no, we live in we've got stairs, whatever, we've got multi-level housing. I move all the time. Less than 3,000 steps on days that I was not going for a run.
It's surprising. It surprised me. Yeah, I mean, the sedentary life, it sneaks up on you.
It does. It was kind of, some of this was glass shattering, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we added that, and we also got an app on our phones for tracking food. And I know that a lot of people don't like to even talk about tracking food. They think that it's unnecessary. A lot of really fit, trainers and influencers and stuff, they'll spend a lot of time, talking about how you don't need that. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to tell you I needed it.
I needed it.
I don't know. Yep. I'm not saying you can't do it the other way, but essentially that's how we did our best to maintain a small deficit.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't know how you do it. I think you're just guessing. And yes, there is a lot of error in your tracking. But when I say a lot of error, like on a 2,000 calorie diet, if you design your diet around repetitive things, you get better. And so I think you're probably, even if, I think probably at the end I was probably plus or minus 5%.
Yeah.
Even on bad days I was probably plus or minus 10%. But the thing is, over time, you know, that's how you know kind of where you're at.
Well, and you know what you're eating.
Yeah.
I still track because I just keep up with it and it's become a habit. But people will look at me like my mom or our son or even people I'm out with and go, hey, how many calories are in this? I can ballpark it pretty close. I'm like, yeah, so that's going to be about 80 calories and most of that is going to be carbohydrates, or that is 45 calories and it's all fat. You know, you're talking it's this or it's this. And it's not because I'm maniacal about it. It's just I've done it so much, I just know. And that's really good for me because when I first started, we're not on camera now, so it's hard to see. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm a very small framed person. When you and I go to a restaurant, they serve us the same size meal. Yeah. We should not be eating the same amount of food. I don't need that much food. I will eat that much food if it is in front of me and if it has Haagen-Dazs written on the box, because I can crush a pint of ice cream like nobody's business. Sure. It is. But that's my calories for the day. Thank you very much. You have to, in the industry that I'm in, which is CPG, we always say you can't manage what you don't measure. Exactly. If you don't measure something, how do you know? How do you know where you are? So even if you don't do it forever, I tell everybody, track your food for a month. You will shock yourself.
Yeah, that's a huge exercise for people to do, and it's very doable. Don't let being accurate or your idea about being 100% accurate, don't let that stand in the way. Yeah, just be consistent. Yeah. You know, it's like it's more important to record something slightly inaccurate than not record something. Yeah. So as long as you're recording everything, that's the real, I think, important thing about tracking your food is get in the habit of recording everything. Yeah. And then you start to build this library and you have those aha moments where you start to get a picture of what your diet really is. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, we're off track. We got the Garmin, we got an app to track our food. Right. A free app, by the way.
Yeah, we were using MyFitnessPal back then. Now we use Chronometer. Is that what it's called? So, you know, I guess to try to summarize it, there's a physical component, there's a nutrition component. So there's an exercise component, a nutrition component, and then there's a recovery component. And the recovery component is partly nutrition, but it's also trying to de-stress and sleep and improving your sleep and that sort of thing. And we worked on all these things as well as getting adequate vitamin D. And we worked on all these things simultaneously and kind of rotating through each, trying to improve them. And that's what I would say is, it can be a little overwhelming when you start thinking about that, and people want to hear that, oh, it's this one thing.
Yeah, and it was so easy, it took me 6 weeks.
Yeah, and a lot of people push stuff like that, but I'm just here to tell you, it's not just one thing. It is several things, 4 or 5, doing them consistently pretty good. Yeah. That's the way to do it. And if you want more detail, like on what we think our approach to body recomposition is, on our website, lanceps.com, I have a blog post that is called Body Recomp Made Simple. And it actually lays out step by step what our takeaway was from our year-long body recomp process. So maybe pushing people to that might be a good thing, but the results were, I went from basically a high 20s body fat to a low teens.
Yeah, in a year.
In a year. I lost 22 pounds of fat while putting on about probably 3 pounds of muscle, our best guess. And I felt great, and we were running some through that, so I maintained some aerobic fitness. We were lifting, And I really felt like by the end of that year in Phoenix that I was ready to train for an Ironman.
Yeah, which was absolutely remarkable. The recovery, and I will say that was one of the things that really struck me about the supplements. I mean, I was taking them. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll mix it up. I love projects. I'll try anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll mix them up. It'll be fun. But then I started to notice we would go out for a long run, and the next day I was fine to get up and do HIIT. And then the next day, if you wanted to go ride the bike, I was good to do that. Where before, and I just chalked it up to aging, not that I'm old, but I was aging. I would be tired. After a HIIT workout, I needed a day off. After a HIIT workout, I was like, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to ride the bike? Do you want to run? Do you want to, let's walk over to Safeway or run over to Starbucks and get coffee and walk back?
There's a reason that our company mantra is train hard, recover harder. It's because we discovered that when we started nailing our recovery, we were able to train hard consistently. That's the thing. The key to anything is consistency. The key to elevating your fitness, to changing your body composition, it's consistency. But recovery is what allows you to be consistent.
Yes.
So, and maybe that's a good place to. Think that's a good place to leave off for this episode?
I think so.
So
we're going to work. So the key word for the episode was consistency. I don't know when we will be back to do a podcast because we have not nailed consistency of the podcast.
Exactly. Thank you to those of you that are listening out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to talking to you again really soon.
Absolutely. And for anybody that's working on a body recomp project, drop us a note. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear how it's going. We'd love to hear about your successes. If you have questions, reach out to us on our website. If you want to go read the blog post on our website, I will just say Nike said it best, just do it. Take a step forward. Just do it, because it seems overwhelming, but in a year you'll look back and it will have been just the simplest thing. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Yeah, and 100%.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Bye. Thanks for listening to episode 4 of our podcast. If you'd like to learn more about our body recomp project, go to our company website, landsups.com, and under content, you'll find Sean's blog post, Body Recomp Made Simple. See you next time.